Hello, greetings to everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is Opinión Latina. My name is Jorge Rivas, and
Betty Rivas.
And now we have a very special guest,
a female guest.
A very special guest. Her name is Chata.
La Chata. In the underworld, she's known as La Chata. Chata.
Chata is one of our little dogs, our pet. She has been with us for how long? How many years now? About
4.
4 years?
4 years. We have 3 little dogs.
She's a very good dog, just a bit grumpy.
Very grumpy, but she's a survivor. She's a survivor of an attack by
coyotes.
By coyotes.
Yes.
So we don't know how many coyotes got her. Back in May of last year, and it is now just about to be a full year since then. And we truly thank God that she somehow survived, because they really roughed her up quite badly during that time. She truly almost died back then. But thank God she was miraculously saved. And here she is now. This is Chata. What an absolutely beautiful and precious girl she has become.
Well, as we've done in the past, now we want to talk about certain topics that are happening worldwide and nationally. And one of the topics that has been talked about a lot is we are talking about the widespread protests that are currently happening across Iran. We all know that Iran is what they officially call an Islamic Republic. The nation of Iran, much like what we see in several other countries, well, at least from our specific point of view, they are considered to be quite extremist and deeply conservative, where they mandate that every single citizen must not only practice their religion, but they also strictly implement and use what is commonly called Sharia law, where the legal system is entirely based on these religious principles. Compared to the legal system in the United States or in the Americas, in many ways they are very extreme, because I know, for example, that in countries like theirs, or in Afghanistan or Pakistan, for instance, if they find a woman committing adultery, it's not like they're going to say, well, just get divorced. Don't stay with your husband anymore. Go do whatever you want. Yeah, right? But if they are presented with the opportunity right then and there, they take her somewhere with enough stones and start stoning her. I mean, when you really stop to think about it, it is an incredibly harsh and unforgivingly brutal system compared to the specific way we think and the way we were raised, or what we fundamentally believe in, religiously speaking, in our modern society today.
Yeah, it's an extreme abuse.
And another significant thing that has been heard repeatedly for many decades now is that it's not just the radical extremists in Iran, but the official Iranian government itself frequently says, "Death to America," which literally translates to meaning death to the entire United States of America. Yes?
It's an extreme hatred.
And I know one of the reasons is because there's no coordination, there's no alignment. When it comes to religion, I mean, because here in the United States, we certainly know that the vast majority of people are practicing Christians. And that doesn't mean that other people aren't free to practice their own religion.
Yes, because there is freedom after all. There are many religions.
Or people who don't have a religion too. I mean, people who don't believe in anything. But we know that they do preach it and say it, that the United States should disappear. I mean, by saying death to America, muerte a los Estados Unidos, they're calling for the total and complete destruction of
the United States. This applies to the United States because we simply do not think in the same way as them, and we are fundamentally not like them. Simply put, it is a form of extremism that has been taken to the absolute limit.
Yes. And one thing that maybe some people, they might believe or think that when they say these Americans, that they're just referring to Anglo-Saxons or gringos.
But
if they actually had a powerful nuclear bomb or something similar to that, and they dropped it on a major city in the United States, not only would the gringos perish, but absolutely everyone would die in the aftermath.
Especially if they dropped it in Arizona. Just imagine.
Or
in Texas.
So I am well aware that the specific style of government they currently have in Iran is a very aggressive and confrontational one, where they force people to a certain extent to live in a certain way, in a certain manner. So I think that's where part of the discontent behind the current protests in Iran comes from. But we also have to take into account that the United States has imposed on Iran, let's say, a blockade to a certain extent. We could call it a trade blockade. Or that various other nations across the globe, or a wide variety of different organizations, well, maybe not organizations, but large commercial corporations, which are, we could say that, well, maybe they are not necessarily forced, but rather they are being asked not to do it. Business with them for the same reason. Because we are well aware that Iran not only frequently chants the slogan, "Death to America," but also actively provides significant support to various militant groups that tend to create a highly unstable and chaotic environment throughout the entire region. We are specifically talking, for example, about the Lebanon-based organization known as Hezbollah, which is mostly situated in the southern parts of the country and in Lebanon, and also obviously when it comes to Hamas, I mean, I know that nowadays Hamas isn't as powerful as it was a couple of years ago, but I also know that not only have they been given military training, they've also been given weapons.
Weapons help them.
Indeed, it is not just Hezbollah, but also the group known as Hamas and the de facto improvised government operating within Yemen. In other words, the group known as the Houthis. So we know that they, in one way or another, want
destabilize
not only the geographical region, but also to the United States of America, because as we have already clearly mentioned before, one of their primary and main objectives is to make the United States cease to exist entirely.
Exactly. Well, the situation is very sad, but let's hope in God that let there be a real change and let it change with the help of President Trump.
Yes. We know that, well, one of the origin of their religion comes from the fact that supposedly the Prophet Muhammad, as he is known in Spanish, had visions at one time, about 700 years ago, but it is known that the man could neither read nor write. So the book that they now read, which is called the Quran, is not a book that was written during his time, but rather was written about 300 or 400 years later. So, and it's a very extremist religion because it doesn't just say that if a group of Muslims goes to a place, to a town, to a country where people are not Muslim, the people have to submit to them, convert, or if not, pay a tax. Pay a kind of tax so they don't kill you. Had you ever heard about that? No? Yes. Well, yes. Well, there are three
options. Well, there was the option that they'd kill you, but no, that didn't exist. I didn't know there was a negotiation so they wouldn't kill you, so you wouldn't have to pay.
Yes, as far as I know, from what I've heard, there are three options. One, you have to convert. In other words, if you are a Christian, if you believe in the living God, in the God that we believe truly exists, you have to set that aside and accept what they say, which for me, Muhammad is simply a false prophet. Because it speaks in the New Testament. We can read where the apostles themselves say, beware of the false apostles who will come in the future, because they will act as if they are representing God, but really they are, as the devil himself says, the devil. It seems our mysterious guest is currently hiding right behind the hiding.
She has a son, Mommy.
So as I was saying, yes, then the Prophet Muhammad said, no, well, if they come to your village and you are no longer a Muslim, you have to convert. That's the number one option. Option number 2, you have to pay us a tax, an income tax, so that you can continue living without killing you.
Yes, that is right.
Or we'll just kill you. We'll kill you. Yeah, because, I mean, if you're not Muslim, they say you're an infidel, according to them, right?
Infidel. Infidel.
Infidel, yes. Well, in English, it's called infidel. Ah, okay. Infidel, yes. For those who have never heard who I am, well, not that I'm an important person, but I've lived in the United States for almost 40 years. And sometimes there are words that just come to my mind in English, and sometimes I translate them as they come to me. But it's not because I'm pretending I don't want to speak Spanish. So those are supposedly the 3 options a person has. But I mean, compared to Christianity, I mean, Jesus says, come to me. You know what I mean? I'm here to save you. I'm here to give you life. But if you don't want to, you don't have to come. I mean, it's optional.
Relax, we won't kill you.
Yeah, it is exactly the same situation with a religious priest or a pastor. If they are going to sincerely preach God's word to you, they will gently say, please listen closely. This would be really good for you. But they will absolutely never say, well, if you do not do it, we are going to kill you. So if we look, the contrast is so extreme in the way they think. So that's where I think the disagreement, the discontent comes from. I'm not saying that the American society or the cities in Latin American countries are examples to follow. Of course, there are plenty of people who don't believe in God and their behavior isn't the best. But yes, quite clearly and obviously, we absolutely do not want, we really do not want, and bless you for that, we truly do not want some aggressive individual to come along and demand of us that if you do not choose to convert to their specific faith immediately, we will then proceed to behead you in a violent manner. We'll behead you. It's fatal. Therefore, but let us sincerely hope that now, with so many powerful protests occurring and so much collective social movement happening everywhere, something truly good and meaningful will finally happen for us all. We have acquaintances from Iran who are very good people, and I know that for years they haven't gone back there, and I have people very close to us, very dear to us, and they still have family members living over there whom I don't really know. They haven't seen in so many long years, only speaking by phone, but it's really quite sad that they simply can't go back to visit. Well, because of how things are currently situated over there. Yes, it is because what in the English language are commonly known as the mullahs, which I should clarify doesn't mean they are animals like that word implies in Spanish, but rather that is simply what they are called in English, are the specific ones who govern the nation, who essentially make up the entire government, the formal civil government. But then, from what I have also heard from various sources, the Iranian military forces, and especially what they specifically call the Revolutionary Guard. I can't remember the name right now, but I know that they're also very much involved in the government, meaning it's a government that's very aggressive toward the people. The civil rights of ordinary people on the streets are very minimal.
It is virtually non-existent, that they essentially possess no legal rights whatsoever.
So I hope that, I heard a report recently that when I say recently, I mean a day or two ago, that the Iranian government and security forces had killed maybe up to 12,000 people. They had already killed people who were out protesting
lately.
Yes, in these modern days. Yes, I do honestly think they're doing absolutely everything they possibly can to suppress it. But I truly hope that the governments that really believe in the principles of democracy will say, you know what? This is already a horrific and tragic massacre. So we stand firmly and resolutely with the courageous people who truly want a society where they can enjoy the full extent of freedom of expression. We advocate for fundamental freedom and basic human rights in every possible sense of the word, not just in terms of religious practice or belief, but also in the very fabric of their daily lives, in their mundane, everyday lives and personal interactions. This is the essential core of what we believe in. Isn't that exactly right, Chata? Don't you agree with this sentiment? No, actually, that is quite good. No. So, yes, what we are doing here at the offices of Opinión Latina, our feelings, our prayers are with the people of Iran, of the nation of Iran. And I sincerely hope that they can finally have a stable government representation that truly and effectively helps them in their daily lives to improve and not continue under this oppressive tyranny. What is the exact word I am searching for? It is like they are constantly ordering you around, strictly telling you that this is the only way you have to do it, or else there will be consequences. Yes.
Yes, a tyranny. They're forcing you. So, another topic we wanted to discuss is about what's happening with the president. Everyone is talking about how he wants to take over Greenland. And well, I was watching, it is widely reported that supposedly a significant number of journalists and reporters went there and they conducted a public opinion survey with the local people living there, specifically inquiring whether they were in favor of or if they genuinely desired to become a part of the United States, to become citizens. Yeah, if the president reached an agreement to buy it and everyone said yes, that they wanted to be Americans. So I don't see what the problem is.
Yes, we know that Greenland is an island, supposedly the largest island in the world, but much of it is covered in snow. But I know that there are at least an average of between 50,000 to 60,000 people living there. Many are natives, and I saw a similar report, just like the one you were mentioning, where a reporter asks some native Greenlandic kids, he says, hey, what do you think about the United States welcoming or integrating Greenland as part of the United States? Yes, yes, yes. We want that because we want McDonald's. Well, they were kids, right? Of, I don't know, teenagers. And in his mind,
it was the best. Do you want McDonald's? They just don't know Sammy's Mexican Grill. If they knew him, that's what they would say. They want Sammy's, yes. They want a Sammy's. Well, we're going to open a Sammy's there. And well, hopefully it will happen for President Trump because it's for the best.
Yes, well, we need to understand where that idea comes from. One of the things that is happening, as we all know, is global warming. I mean, I think there are still people who deny it, or climate change. We could say climate change because in some places it rains more, in other places it rains less, in other places it feels hotter or colder. I mean, there is a
climate change. And it's true because now on December 24th, it wasn't cold here. I was hot that day. Never, never, never in my life. I told you, remember that day? I had never felt hot on the 24th before.
And we also see it in countries, in places like, I know in Central America where the Panama Canal is. I know that last year or a couple of years ago, they were saying that most likely that they were going to have problems with ships crossing the Panama Canal because the lakes were dropping to a very low level to have enough water since it hadn't rained enough in recent years. Yeah, I mean,
there have been changes in every single location.
Yeah, the other day I was also watching a report, I'm not sure, but most likely it was from Uruguay, where lakes were also at very low levels. So there is climate change happening, of course there is. So how is Greenland being affected? Where the snow level is decreasing, where they believe that if we continue at this rate, within just a few short years from now, massive commercial cargo vessels will be able to successfully navigate across the northern part of Greenland. To put it another way, in the very locations where the maritime market will have a shorter route. So according to what President Trump says, other countries could take possession of that area. You know what I mean? Yes. So if we're talking about keeping a country safe, a country strong like the United States, and it has the ability to maybe buy Greenland, or it has the ability to make a treaty with Denmark, which supposedly for now Denmark says, no, well, this land is under my control. But supposedly it's an area, I think it's called autonomous, right? Where they can govern themselves. Therefore, President Trump is saying, well, what if we, the United States, take control to make sure that the maritime areas are open for trade? Well, yes, because other countries could say, well, this area belongs to me, and tough luck, you're not going to pass through here. And we know that the United States, of course, the United States isn't a perfect country, but it does have good ways of governing. And
well, now with President Trump, who is very good at business, and he knows if he is, let's put it in Mexican terms, stubborn, and he wants Greenland, it's because he knows what he's going to do and what he's planning to do. It's going to be good both for the United States and for the people there, the natives of Greenland.
Yes, and we also have to take into account, it is evident that throughout the history of the United States, the leaders of this nation have often been individuals possessed with a truly admirable and forward-thinking vision. I mean, starting specifically with the time when they first bought
Louisiana.
What is called the Louisiana Purchase from the French. Exactly. Where it was such a vast stretch of land, especially for that time when people only traveled by horse and wagon. I mean, it was a territorial expansion, but an extremely large one. And to say, no, we're going to buy it because in the future it will be useful to us. I mean, when they bought it and sent out the Lewis and Clark expedition, it took them 2 years to get from St. Louis, Missouri to what is now Oregon. It took them 2 years.
Imagine that.
They were rowing up the river, and when they couldn't go any further, they had to walk. Then, for example, comes the creation of the Panama Canal. I know the French had already started it, but they couldn't finish it. So the United States comes in and says, we're going to do it. And we know that by the early 1900s, it was already possible to sail from the Pacific to the Atlantic through the Panama Canal. And what does it take? It takes people with vision. It takes people with the drive to say, you know what, we're going to do this.
Yeah, with vision. President Trump, even though a lot of people hate him, and I don't know why, he has a lot of vision.
And he has a great team. Of course,
he has a great team. And if he truly knows that something remarkably good is going to happen in Greenland, we absolutely have to believe him. Just like in the past when they successfully bought the Louisiana territory, then acquired Florida, and then eventually all of that vast southwestern part they bought from Mexico.
They also bought Alaska from the Russians, which was for $7 million. And now it's one of the places where the most oil is extracted. I mean, maybe at that time they didn't know about the oil. Yeah, they didn't know.
Here is the process for how to extract the oil.
We know nowadays the great benefit it's bringing to the country. So, and another thing we can mention, I mean, about great recent leaders is when John F. Kennedy said, we're going to the moon. I mean, it's something difficult. But I know that through the moon project, great inventions were created, which maybe now we don't really notice. We don't know about them, but we do know they've been fantastic. So for us here at Opinión Latina, we give our full 100% support to the president and his administration so that they continue with this project. Of course, they have to do it in a fair way. They have to do it in a way that the residents of Greenland are happy and satisfied. But I think it's something important that needs to be done.
Hopefully, amen.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. And don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
May God bless you. Thank you very much.